Hello everyone. Today we will look at some methods of improving our models. In the previous presentations, we have seen two algorithms, linear regression and logistic regression. Today we will be addressing some issues, some problems, and we will see at the corresponding solutions. So let us begin. In this presentation, we will be basically seeing two problems. The first one is the problem of overfitting, and we will see how, with the help of regularization, whether in linear or logistic regression, we can solve that problem. And the second problem is while dealing with large data sets and how mini batch gradient descent can help overcome that problem. So let us start with our first problem, the problem of overfitting. I will show you three graphs. So this is the first one. We have used the same data set from the previous presentation, and suppose we need to classify and separate out the red dots from the green one. Suppose the red dots are the non-cat pictures and the green ones are the cat pictures. So the blue line is the decision boundary. In the next case, this is a blue line which is the decision boundary, and in the third case we get a decision boundary something like this. So in the first and second case, so let us discuss the first case. We see that there are many points which are not classified correctly. This one is the point here, here, and there are some red points here which are not categorized correctly. And in the third graph we can see that all the points are categorized correctly. So in this third problem, although all the points are classified correctly, if we get a new data set somewhere over here, then it would be classified as the green dot, but ideally it should be in the red region, so it would be classified wrongly. So we don't want this type of decision boundary, neither do we want this type of decision boundary where in the training set some of these points are misclassified. So this first case is known as underfitting, since it is not able to fit the model properly. This condition is called a high bias problem. And in the third case, this type of decision boundary is called overfitting, since it tries too much to fit on the training data set. And this condition is known as a high variance. In between these two, we have this kind of decision boundary which is just right, since in the training data set it has misclassified just one data, and even if we use this to predict new data sets, if we get a data here, it will be classified correctly. So this is a trade-off between bias and variance. So we have seen that these two graphs should not be made. We need an algorithm which forms a graph, forms a decision boundary, something like this. So how do we do that? For that we use regularization. And if we use regularization in linear regression, then we have our updated cost function as this. Here we have a new parameter which is known as lambda. Lambda is known as the regularization parameter. So this helps in regularization our model. And we also have our updated gradient descent formula. Here also you can see the term lambda. So the thing is that lambda, if we increase, then the regularization effect also increases. So what it does is it will reduce the variance. So if our model is overfitting, then it will reduce the variance, and thus it will make the decision boundary correct. But if we have lambda as 0, then it will be the same case as we were discussing in the previous presentations. So it would be the case of the normal linear regression. So we have seen how regression can be used in linear regression. Next we will see how this is used in logistic regression. So this is the updated cost function. Already it was a bit lengthy, and now we have one more term over here, and the lambda here is the regularization parameter, and the updated gradient descent formula is as such. Here also we have the regression parameter, and as we saw previously, as we keep on increasing lambda, the regulation effect keeps on increasing and the variance decreases. So instead of getting a decision boundary something like this, we would get a decision boundary like this. So this helps in the problem of overfitting. So we have looked at how we can apply regularization at logistic and linear regression, and how we can overcome the problem of overfitting. Next we will address the second problem. So suppose we have a very large data set and we use our normal method to calculate that. What we do is we take the entire training data set, we calculate the gradients using the training example, we have the formulas for that, and using those we update the parameters, which is the theta vector, and then we again repeat these first three steps until we get a considerable low value of the cost function. So the disadvantage in here is that suppose we have a large data set which has 10 million examples. So for one updation of theta, we have to find the gradients using all these 10 million examples, and computing the gradients for all these 10 million examples, which will take a lot of time. So this is a problem, and if we do this by taking all the training examples at a time, then it will increase the training time too much. And this type of normal gradient descent is also called batch gradient descent, since we take the entire training set at one go. We will look at other two types of gradient descent and how it helps. The second type is the stochastic gradient descent. Let us look at the algorithm. First we take one training example, we calculate the gradient descent using this example, and using these gradients we update the parameter or the theta vector, and then we repeat these first three steps taking the next example. So what we do is, suppose we have these training examples x1, x2, x3, x4 till xn. So in batch gradient descent we used to consider all of these examples for calculating the gradient descent, and then we would update the theta vector. But in stochastic gradient descent we take just one example and we calculate the gradient and we update theta. Suppose theta becomes, from theta 1 it has now become theta 2. Then we take the second example and then we update theta 2 to theta 3. These are not square and cube, but just a way of denoting theta, that theta has been updated. So here we can see the advantage that to update theta we just need one training sample, but in the earlier one if we had 10 million training samples, then for just this one updation we had to take all the 10 million training samples, and it was taking too much of time. But with this we can speed up our training process. We'll now look at the third type of gradient descent, which is the mini batch gradient descent. We have seen at the two extremes, which is the stochastic gradient descent, where we take just one example and calculate the gradient descent, and we have also seen the batch gradient descent, where we take all the examples and calculate the gradient descent. But in mini batch gradient descent we perform the midway. So here's the algorithm. We divide the entire training dataset into a number of small batches, and we take one of that one such batch and we perform the gradient descent on that batch, and then use the gradients to update the parameters, and then we repeat steps 2 to 4 taking the next batch. So suppose if we have let's, for simplicity of division, we have 32 million examples, and suppose our batch size, I have denoted it using B, is 32. Let's take it 3200. So for updation of 1 theta we would need 32 million by 3200 examples, so this comes out to be 10,000 training samples. So if we had used batch gradient descent, then we, for one updation of theta, for example say from theta 1 to theta 2, we would have to take all the 32 million training samples. But in mini batch gradient descent we just need to take these 10,000 training samples and we update theta, and for the next gradient descent we take the next 10,000 training sample. So what that means is that for the first one we take the examples from 1 to 10,000, for the next gradient descent we take it from 10,001 to 20,000 and so on. So we have got the idea how to means what this means. Okay, so you have all understood the algorithm. Now we'll see how the cost function varies for batch gradient descent, mini batch gradient descent or stochastic gradient descent. The cost function for batch gradient descent, where we take all of the examples, is something like this. The smooth curve, where this is the cost and this is the number of times we perform the gradient descent. Okay, so as we keep on doing the gradient descent, the cost function keeps on decreasing, and this is a smooth function. But suppose if we have stochastic gradient descent, then this graph is very rough. So suppose it is something like this, something like this, and it goes on decreasing. So this is for batch gradient descent, this is for stochastic gradient descent, and this is for mini batch gradient descent. So it will be in between these two. It won't be so much rough, nor it would be too smooth. So it would be something like this. So based on a model we will choose what kind of gradient descent we need. Suppose our model is small, relatively small, then we can use batch gradient descent, taking all of the examples. Suppose our training examples are a little bit large, then we'll use mini batch gradient descent. And suppose if our data set is too big, in say suppose 32 million, 50 million, then it's better to use stochastic gradient descent. So we have seen how a large data set can affect a training time, and we have also looked at its solution where we can use stochastic or mini batch gradient descent. Now we will summarize what we have learned today. Basically, we discussed two problems. The first was the problem of overfitting, and we saw how we can use the regression parameter in both linear and logistic regression to overcome it. We have seen the updated cost function and the gradient descent function to perform the regression. And the second problem was when we are dealing with large data sets and how we can overcome that using mini batch gradient descent and stochastic gradient descent. I hope these two methods will help you in training your algorithm in a better way. Thank you.